Hey guys, Rocket Cat here. Today we are back for another Tempest Rising explained video, and today we are going to be talking about power. I was going to make a video that just included everything about base building, but there was actually enough with power once I dug into it a little bit deeper that I think it deserves a separate video. So let's talk about it. Okay, here we are in this nice, beautiful base that I've built, and we are going to talk about power. So over here to the left of your minimap, you will see the all-important power bar. And when you hover over it, you will see precisely how much power you are producing and consuming. So here we are producing 260 power. That is because this construction yard produces 20, and each of these produces 80. So if you add that up, that equals 260. That's entirely correct. And if we add up our consumption of power, well, we would simply go through here. Satellite uplinks each take 40, barracks take 40, refineries take 30, and each of these take 10. So we add all of that up and it equals 260. Pretty simple. Now, what happens once I overdraw my power? So to do that, we are going to build another barracks. Let's fast forward. Okay, so we are now in a low power state, and the satellite uplinks here, as well as the Gatling turrets, have all disabled because we do not have enough power to power everything. And we've entered into this low power state in which there are special rules for what gets depowered versus what goes into this low power mode. So these barracks, you'll notice they do not actually turn off, like the Gatling guns and the satellite uplinks, and the refinery also does not turn off. It simply enters this low power state, and we'll talk more about that later. But for now, let's build another power plant. And we see now that we are back in a okay state. It's still yellow, but it's we're producing far more than we're consuming now. So everything is looking pretty solid. Now, another critical tool with power is this power tool. So this allows you to turn particular structures on and off. So let's say, hey, this is way too many barracks. I'm going to turn some off, and we only want 2 barracks. Well, now we're no longer consuming this power, and it will have this white electricity symbol over it to indicate that we have manually toggled this off, and we do not wish to power it at all. So let's say we powered off some more stuff. Basically, this consumption is going to go down, and this power bar will turn green because we are now far enough away from our production with our consumption that it will turn green. So it's just saying, hey, everything is okay. Nothing has changed when this turns green versus yellow. It's just yellow is warning you. And this is, this is how you use the power tool. So next I want to demonstrate what happens when you do enter this low powered state. And for this, I have actually sold all my power plants. I am now producing 20 power, and I am consuming a whopping 280 power. How am I consuming that much power, but I'm still able to use these barracks? Well, simply, some buildings continue to operate when you are in this low power state. And among them are refineries and barracks. Presumably, this will also be the case for any unit production structure, and it's unclear to me whether which buildings, like ones that we haven't seen yet, it's unclear to me which will operate in this low powered state versus will turn off, such as these Gatlings and satellite uplinks. And in this low powered state, buildings have different modifiers that affect them. So for the barracks, it has this negative effect such that everything takes 50% longer to produce. So this drone operator, it takes 10 seconds normally, but since we're in this low powered state of our base, it will take 15 seconds to produce. So it's a bit of a disadvantage with your barracks production. For the refinery, I actually haven't noticed any issues with the refinery working. The harvester there was bugged out. But I haven't noticed any issues with the refinery. Like nothing's, I've looked for all sorts of ways that the refinery gets a negative effect while it's in this yellow electricity bolt low power state. I can't find anything. I think if the devs wanted to add something for this, they could maybe increase the duration of that drop-off animation. I think that might be an interesting way to provide a slight negative effect without it being too crazy or too noticeable. But that's neither here nor there. I think, yeah, so we're in this crazy situation where we are producing very little and we are consuming a lot. And how does this work? So if you see this red symbol, you'll see that this is actually trying to draw power right now. So this is drawing 40 power, this is drawing 40 power, and we can actually turn this off and we'll see this start to change. So we can actually turn these all off. Let's turn the refinery off as well and turn these off. And you will see that this barracks is now powered. So we are now consuming 20 and producing 20. So we have actually changed the state of our base, and now we have one barracks that is producing at 10, or rather at the normal unit production time. So we've manually disabled everything, and what happens when we turn this on? Well, we enter the slow powered state again. Even though these don't change at all, we are declaring that we want this powered, and all of a sudden we are going to try to power it, and we are going to enter this overdrawn state. So let's go back to that state, and let's take a moment to set up the next test. Okay, so I have shuffled things around a little bit here, and we now have 2 power plants, and we have manually disabled a couple of these. So we are now producing 180 power, and we are consuming 180. And we have manually said, hey, we don't want to power these, we don't want to power this, and we don't want to power these. So we are trying to compromise a bit here. We want a little bit of defense. We don't need these barracks. We don't need that. And we've sort of manually set this up in a situation where we can keep things still in this okay power state. So my question is, what happens when we say, hey, I want to turn this back on? Everything turns off. So this is something to be aware of. The moment where you are declaring, hey, I want to power you, well, we are going to now be entering into this low powered state. You might expect that this would work differently, but it in fact works like this. So the reason it works like this is because we are right now, these are white electricity bolts, and we are stating that we now want to try to power you. And once we try to power this, everything is going to enter into this low powered state. So we're trying to power that, we're trying to power all of these, and we simply can't. And so everything turns off, and the barracks and the refinery enter into this yellow electricity bolt state as well, where they are low power. Our barracks are now producing at longer times, and all because we tried to power this one extra little guy. So this is something to keep in mind. If you are into this state where maybe you've lost some power plants, then you need to be mindful of this red electricity bolt. And if there are buildings, non-essential, that you see here that are trying to withdraw power from your grid, then you should go in here and manually disable them, probably, unless you're simply going to build more power plants. Now, just to close out this video, I wanted to mention one thing that Brandon had mentioned in a dev blog during an early dev blog that he did with Helping Hands. And I want to show you guys this. And if you want to check this video out, here is a link for it.
One of the coolest things I think that the Dynasty can do is they can actually turn off a power plant, converting it from what we call production mode to distribution mode. And in distribution mode, the power plant will actually speed up the production and combat capabilities of nearby structures, and that lets the Dynasty, have kind of an oh crap button if they're attacked, or they can kind of go into hyper production mode, but they have to be able to afford the power hit to be able to do that. We've got some additional power related systems that will build on that.
And there you have it, a little tidbit from the man himself, and that has been Power Explained. We'll see you next time.